Hello guys, I gotta tell you this first and foremost. Listen, if you ever go to Costco's, please get this. Let me show you. Now Costco has a lot of their liquor. This is, oh my God, this is so good. If you mix it with, I believe it's Dailies, it's like a peach. It is, and then you get some ice and you put it in a blender. It is so nice. So it give you a little bit of a buzz while you're cooking. So today I'm going to teach you how to make stewed chicken. But like I said, it's going to be stewed chicken with a twist. This is my stewed chicken. Well, this is my chicken. It's been marinating for overnight. I'm going to be adding to it green seasoning, and I'll show you how to make that. And I'm going to do it with a twist. So this is going to be a little different than the formal stewed chicken, but it's the way that I like to eat it. So, you know, don't quote me on this. You can have it any way that you want, but this is the way that I like to eat it. Now, to this, you can actually add, well, I'm going to be adding green seasoning, and I'll show you. And this is what mine looks like. I make it. You can put in scallions. You can put in culantro. All type of greeny vegetables. So you could put in thyme, fresh thyme, oregano, whatever type of greens you like, any type of greens. But I'll give you a more so detailed recipe on how to go about making this. To this stewed chicken, I am going to add 2 teaspoons of this green seasoning. And once you make up a batch, like it's really good. Let's say if you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of vegetables, well, herbs for the most part. And let's just say if you don't intend on using all of them, you can actually put your remaining herbs inside of a blender to make this. This seasoning right here will last you anywhere from 3 to 4 months in your refrigerator. You want to keep it in a mason jar to keep it fresh. If you have a vac sealer, that's actually better because you can vac seal this. And you can add it to any type of meat, any type of fish. You want to make sure that you slit your meat so that this can penetrate deep down into whatever it is that you're going to be cooking. You will thank me later, I promise you. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to chop up some of my spices and herbs. So this right here is culantro. You can buy it at your local farmer's market. It's in the same family as cilantro. But if you don't really care for the soapy taste of cilantro, go with culantro. It has a milder taste to it. It's very good. And it gives a nice kick to your food. So this is culantro, not cilantro, but culantro. And I'm going to throw that in and add that in with my meat. And again, the recipes that I'm giving you, honestly, I'm not going to say that this will be a poor man's meal, but you can actually spruce this up to your liking, and you can do it very inexpensively, really inexpensive. And you can feed a family of, I'm going to say 7, because this is really something that can honestly stretch out, you know. So you can do this on a budget. Trust me. This right here is going to be basil. I like a lot of fresh herbs in my meal. It doesn't have a very pungent taste, and it's really not strong. You'll see once this actually cooks down, it marinates beautifully into your meal. So this is fresh basil. So far I've added culantro and I have added basil into this. And I have some fresh parsley as well. This is stuff that I just had left over, but I said, you know what, I don't want this to go to waste. So let me go on ahead and I'm going to cook something out of this, and this is what we have. We have stewed chicken. So I'm going to cut up my parsley. And the majority of the greens that I'm actually chopping up is already going to be mixed into the green seasoning itself. But I like mine to be a little extra. I want to capture all of the flavors in my food, everything. All right, so we're mixing that in, and I have fresh ginger. So my meat is actually spiced to my liking. You can season your meat however you would like to season it. But I like to season my meat heavy. Again, I cut slits into my meat and I'll allow it to marinate overnight so that it actually captures the robust flavor of what it is that I'm actually going for. This right here is going to be fresh ginger. And I am going to actually just chop this in. Now, just a rule of thumb, whenever you're dealing with ginger, depending on how strong of a bite you want, you may just want to marinate your meat in it and then actually dish it out when you're ready to cook your meat. Me, I like the flavor of it. I like for the heat to actually gather the intensity of the ginger while it's cooking. That's not everybody's take, but that's just mine. Another thing that you are going to need is Scotch bonnet peppers. I'll just say this. If you are really not accustomed to eating Caribbean food, stick with just one, okay? And do not dish this out and place it onto your serving. If you're going to eat this, well, not necessarily eat it. If you're going to cook with it, just be mindful of others who may be enjoying the meal with you because this is extremely hot. And if you're cooking it, you want to ensure that you do not allow this to pop while it is inside of your pot. Other people will also tell you to cut it open. Let's just say if you can deal with the heat, but you really don't want a strong bite in terms of the heat, you can get rid of the seeds because the seeds are extremely hot. But this is a hot pepper alone. But for me, the heat does not bother me. I'm actually getting over a cold, so I am going to cook with 4 of these. It doesn't bother me at all. I am accustomed, so I'll cook with 4 of these. But, you know, just monitor it again. If you have kids eating this dish, you just want to be very mindful of how many of these you include within your meal. All right. So now I'm just going to chop up the remaining portion of my veggies. This is a sweet onion, but if you have only a yellow onion, feel free to use that. I like the way the sweet onion tastes, so I'm going to go more so with the sweet onion. And of course, if you have a nice drink while you're cooking, it just makes life so much better. I love cooking. It's like for me, I don't know. It's different for everybody. It's a stress reliever for me. And cooking with a drink just makes it all the better. Now, in terms of my onions, it's different for different people. I don't, particularly, I personally, I do not care for minced onions. I want to taste everything in my meal, everything. So I like for my onions to stay in this form. And then what they'll do is they will eventually cook down. That's what you want. That's what you would like. Well, personally, that's what I would like to go for, but, you know, to each his own. We are almost done, you guys. When you're cooking this, you want to ensure that you are actually utilizing a good pot, and you want to have a pot that is going to retain your heat. You're going to need a lot of heat for this, because what we are going to be doing is caramelizing sugar, and that is pretty much going to provide you the coating of your meat. I like a very rich color in terms of my meat. Now, you may have some people who utilize browning to make this, and I'm sorry if I did not tell you all, this is called stewed chicken, but it's my version of stewed chicken, because I add, and you're probably going to be shocked when you see this, but I take a lot of different mixtures from different types of cuisine, and I put it all in one big pot. There are no rules to cooking. To me, it's you cook the way that you feel fit cooking. You know, some people like gumbo, but they don't like, they do not personally care for seafood. But, if you were to ask somebody who's an expert at gumbo, they would tell you can't eat gumbo without seafood. It's just everyone's preference. Okay. So I now have everything chopped up accordingly. What I am going to do at this point, I have already chopped up some scallions. If you can see this here. I love scallions. Well, I love vegetables. I really like vegetables. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so what you are going to do at this point, you'll take your scallions, and I am going to dump the contents of this into my chicken. So as you can see, I have a lot of different fresh vegetables going into my chicken, a lot. Alright, I had to make sure you guys could hear me, so I did a little test. So at this point, I am going to take my beautiful silver pot for you guys. I am going to allow the heat to actually catch on to this. We're going to warm it up accordingly. And we are about to start preparing our meal. Like I said, this is a meal that you can actually cook on a budget. Very inexpensive. If you want to impress some friends, cook this, prepare this. You can go to your local grocery store or farmer's market. I'm not going to support the grocery stores. I'm going to definitely support farmer's markets. So you can go to the farmer's market. You can actually purchase your meat. I personally recommend dark meat. So if you can get like leg quarters, or if you can get, I'm just going to say the leg quarters, or even get a whole chicken. Whole chicken works best. You can get yourself a butcher knife and butcher the thing down. But I personally like dark meat. So I go with dark meat. And you season the chicken to your liking. And you can have this with some rice. I just made a video the other day of jollof rice. This goes phenomenal with jollof rice. It goes phenomenal with white rice. There is a dish that is called macaroni pie. I will show you all how to make that. This is beautiful with macaroni pie. So right now we're just going to wait for the oil to actually, or my pan to actually heat up. I want it to get really, 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 really nice and hot. And then what I am going to add to this is going to be some oil. I'm just testing it, guys. It's hot, but I want it to get super hot. I'm going to add some oil to this, and I am also going to add some sugar. And we're going to burn this until it turns a nice bronzy brown. And then we're going to add our meat. We're going to cover it. We're going to let it simmer down, because I want all of the water to boil down and boil off. Because you know, of course, the meat is going to retain a lot of water. And as soon as we're done with that, we'll be good to go. You guys are going to enjoy this meal. So just give me a couple of minutes. I'm waiting for everything to heat up, and then we'll get this thing going. Now, the first thing that I like to do whenever I'm cooking any type of meat or preparing any type of meat like this, I love to season my oil. And by doing that, you're going to smash your garlic. So you'll take a fresh garlic clove, you'll smash it down. You want all of the natural oil from the garlic to actually get into the oil and cook into the oil. This will season the meat very, very nice. And before you start caramelizing your sugar, you want to make sure that the garlic is throughout the actual oil. Very, 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 very important. And I'm going to allow that to get super hot. I'm a very, very big advocate of cleaning as you go. Clean as you go. The more you clean, the less you have to clean up later. You can sit down, spend more time enjoying the food. We're getting there. All right, so my pan is getting nice and hot. Because you're going to be adding oil to this pan, you want to make sure that you burn all of the oil, the excess, well, not oil, the excess water out of the pot. So that's what I'm doing. I'm tapping it to make sure it's hot, and it's hot. Don't call me crazy, but I have thick skin, so it doesn't faze me. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to add the oil to my pan. And remember what I told you guys, after you add your oil, you're then going to allow your garlic to burn. Well, not necessarily burn, but you want your garlic to actually cook. So what you'll do is you'll take your garlic fresh, you'll smash it down. You want to release all of the oil out of this garlic, okay? Once it's smashed down, you're going to then add it into your oil, because you want the flavor of the garlic to get into the oil. You want it to cook down a little bit. Now, I still have 2 pieces of garlic that are left. I am going to use this, but I like to add this in once my meat starts to cook. And again, for you females that are in Atlanta, because I am in Atlanta, for you females who do not know how to cook, or guys who don't know how to cook, please pay attention to this channel. I will teach you how to cook. Your mate will come home and be like, oh my God, you really cooked all this for me? You can really impress them and show them that you know how to cook like a professional chef as well. Everyone should know how to cook, in my opinion. Everyone. No excuses. A lot of people do not realize it, but eating out, that's what's killing you. That's what's giving you the cancer. That's what's giving you the diabetes. Don't let your doctor tell you that it's because of genetics. That's not true. It all boils down to the food that you consume. Trust me. All right, so we're going to allow this to go on ahead and cook in. This smells so lovely. And while this is cooking, I am going to enjoy my drink. Costco does not pay me a dime, but I'm going to tell you all, if you are in Atlanta, Costco actually has a liquor store. Stop going to these corner stores buying your liquor. But you can go to Costco, and the money that you pay for one bottle, you could probably get 3 at Costco. And these are big bottles, boy. Big, big, big. Huge bottles. Get lit on a budget. Smells so nice. All right. So you see the color here of the garlic? You see how this one right here is a little brown? You want it to get a little more brown. And then after this actually browns up a little bit, my garlic is going to be all throughout this pot. You are then going to add this right here. This is nothing more than dark brown sugar. You can use white sugar, it browns also, but white sugar is bleached. Alright, so look at my garlic. It looks real nice. This is at the point where you want to actually dish it out because you do not want the garlic to actually burn. I particularly don't care for it the way it tastes when it burns, so I dish it out before so. Alright, so now everything is to my liking. My oil is well seasoned by the garlic. I am now going to add brown sugar. And don't be afraid of it. Now what you want this to burn to a certain degree. But you want to ensure that it coats your pan. Let this cook down. And you would love for this to spread out. Very much so. Spread out completely. Now the meat that I had, I am going to give that meat a nice spin and turn. Oh, it looks so lovely, this meat. Cleaning my hands, I'm going to show you all my meat. Beautiful. And I'm going to provide my pan with my oil and with my brown sugar. You want this to actually burn or start bubbling, and it will. And the moment that it starts to actually burn and bubble, you want to then add your meat. So we're going to let that cook down for a little bit. And trust me, it will eventually burn out. And I'm just going to allow that to burn. Now mind yourself, because this pot, it is extremely, extremely hot. But I chose to cook with this pot purposely because it gets very hot Please don't do what I'm doing at home because you will burn yourself. But like I said, I have very, very, very tough skin. So I'm going to allow this sugar to burn. It's going to burn all the way down. Once it burns, we'll then add our meat to it. And like I said, you can cook you up some rice, a really nice rice, coconut rice. I'll show you all how to make that in another video. But you can cook up some rice to have with this. It is delicious. All right. I'll be back, you guys. I'm going to let it cook down. And it is cooking down. I know you guys can't see it, but this is what you really want. You want this to get hot enough to the point where it starts caramelizing. You see how I'm making streaks with this? This is what you want. You want it to get extremely hot. Now, because I'm actually cooking this for the purposes of Facebook, you will actually see that it's taking a lot longer for this sugar to burn. Whereas if it were to be on a regular, let's just say if you were cooking this on your regular stove, it would not take this long at all. The process takes place very, 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 very quickly, extremely quickly. But when you see the sugar settle to the bottom of the pan, that's primarily what it is that you want. It's going to start rising up and it will start bubbling. So it will come from down here and it's going to rise up. And you're going to see a bunch of small bubbles. Now, what you do not want is for the sugar to actually turn black. You don't want that at all, guys. You want this to remain this particular color, but just with a couple of excess bubbles. And we're getting there. It's a slow churn, but we're getting there.